Hey everybody, I'm Carla with Race to Walk, and this is time for another update in Hack the Saga. And if you're wondering, if you're new here and you're just wondering what is this and why am I talking about hacking on a site, a Christian content site, well, I will tell you. So back in, let me change this for a second. Started publishing Bible studies and book reviews regularly in 2019, but I had been publishing on my website, racetowalk.org, since 2013. And last year, I started being hacked. It actually started 2 years ago in December of 2023. And I didn't have like something definite. I was pretty positive I was being hacked. It was obvious, and I was getting these these directed threats on social media. It wasn't anything I could ever prove, but in April 2024, I had evidence of this hack, and so I started contacting authorities, FBI and police department, which is, what the instructions are if you've been hacked, and they did nothing. Started blowing me off. Then started discovering intellectual property theft of an unexpected journal, which I had been part of launching back in 2018. And then things progress on, and I submitted this huge report to the FBI, 198 pages, and no response, no nothing. This was in July 28th. They didn't do anything. And I discovered more intellectual property theft, my own work. I saw literally my words in prayers that I have on my devotionals were in the daily prayers and little devotionals on the YouVersion Bible app. It was really, really surreal. So anyway, I was not getting any response from the authorities, and so I started live streaming about it. I had been live streaming updates about the Afghans, the ministry I had with them. And when all the hacking started, I told them I had to shut that down because, they're already in a very precarious situation, and I didn't want to put them more at risk. And so I said, don't send me any information that, because my devices are obviously compromised. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, August 4th, 2024, I did this 3-hour live stream, and that was a beginning. And since then, I've done, I think this is update number 62. And over the course of the last year plus, I discovered that it wasn't just random people, or the first people I knew about were Shauna and Davina White, that I just knew, through other people and through a book club. It wasn't just them. It was people that I went through the apologetics program at Houston Baptist University. One of the latest things I discovered was that Phil Talon, the dean of the School of Christian Thought, was one of the conspirators. And I found no joke, I found a Google family group on my main account. And that is how, because I had changed passwords, everything, I could not keep them out of it. And that is how they were getting access to everything, regardless of what I did, because of that Google family group. They were still able to keep access to it. And so I had a lot of different things going on. So I didn't report. I found that in July, and deleted it, but I didn't report it to the police until October 6th of this year, and they've done nothing. So anyway, that's what this is. This has just been very eye-opening, and I would have never thought that authorities would be so unresponsive. I mean, that's the mildest way I can put it. I have had the Woodburn police tell me that hacking wasn't a crime. I went to the Portland FBI office in person, and they told me that it didn't rise to the level of investigation. I went to the Salem FBI office and was told that Salem, among other things, that they didn't investigate identity theft, and that the Salem hospital could falsify my records because they're their records. And I've been, it was just this is literally these people aren't local to me, but they somehow are able to find low-life losers wherever I am and bribe them to come after me and hack me. So, and, steal stuff, cause trouble, whatever it is. But I had a phone stolen. If you watch any of the other live streams, it's my hacked Google Pixel phone. They stole that, and I was like, it's just has gotten beyond ridiculous. And I reported that to the Salem police. And on Monday, no, it was Tuesday, and I was told that out of all the things I was telling him, that the only actual crime was the stolen phone, which probably they weren't going to be able to track down, and that identity theft or impersonating somebody on social media was not a crime. So we're going to talk a little bit about that later, but this is literally like gaslighting, stonewalling, dismissive, beginning to end. That's what it's been. So anyway, these live streams have been my only defense because nobody else is doing anything. And so if you happen to go back and watch all of these, the beginning, I was not naming names. I wasn't. I was trying to report to authorities because my assumption was that the authorities would be investigating it. And so, I just reported what I knew for sure, what I thought was going on, and was hoping that I would get a response, which I didn't. And then when it became very obvious that I wasn't going to be getting a response, and that after every single report, it got worse. I started naming names. So anyway, so that's what this is. But that's not what this whole stream is going to be about. We're going to be talking today about the predators of Facebook. So I don't know if you noticed this, but on my thumbnail, I really like this thumbnail. I don't know if you can tell, but that's actually Mark Zuckerberg in the spider. So anyway, I had fun with that this morning. But anyway, so we're going to be talking a little bit about the predators of Facebook and really what is going on. So I don't remember the law, and I'm not an attorney, and I don't pretend to be one on Twitter, unlike everybody else who pretends to be somebody that they're not. I don't. But I do have very good reading comprehension skills, unfortunately, for a lot of people. So anyway, there's a law that passed, back when the early days of the internet, where it basically gives social media or internet platforms generally, but social media platforms included in that immunity against the actions of the users. Because let's say somebody says something, because it's not like a news media, right, where there is an editor. So anyway, that's basically how the internet has operated, and Facebook as a whole hasn't been held accountable for the actions of the different accounts and the things that they do, even though there's like massive amounts of fraud and identity theft and crimes going on nonstop. Facebook corporately has not, as far as I know, hasn't really been held accountable. The biggest heat that they've come under is back after the 2016 election, when there was election interference. There were, I don't know if you remember, but there were literal sock puppet or Russian sock puppet accounts that were stirring things up, dividing people, actually got people to show up at a protest, and the people that were were promoting it were Russian, so there's been a lot of things going on like that. Also, after there's been some heat about the danger to children on social media, how negative the impact is on it, and that the algorithm itself fuels that. So they've gotten some heat about that, but they really haven't, at least as far as I know. I mean, if somebody else has seen where they've actually been held accountable for anything, let me know. But we're going to talk a little bit about that, where because the thing is, some of the things that are going on Facebook specifically, but Meta as a platform, and also other social media platforms, the way it's designed, they aren't just these entities that are just offering a platform for people to use and certain people are abusing it. The truth is, and what I have proof of based on everything that's happened to me over the past year, is that social media, I think most of them that are really focused on advertising, but specifically Meta, they're designed and have features to cater to the criminals. And this is the truth. So we're gonna go over this a little bit and basically what's going to be going on. So here's the thing. I am not going to go into the whole thing about how these sock puppet networks work. If you want to have an kind of an overview of basically how these sock puppets networks as a whole manipulate the algorithm, you can go and watch that first live stream that I did, A Message to My Stalker. It's 3 hours, but I do have timestamps, and you can go to the section where I talk about that. But let's just go a little bit over and look back historically, since like 2008, so not even 20 years, what social media is supposed to be, right? So social media is supposed to be social, right? It's where people that you can connect with people you know and meet new people, right, that you don't know, can get connections that you wouldn't normally have. And back when Facebook began, Facebook, it's my understanding, was started by Mark Zuckerberg, and it was designed to keep in contact with the people he went to college with. So he could stay friends with the friends that he made, right? That was the point of it originally. So we're going to do a little segue over. And so back before 2016, when people would run ads on Facebook, you could have your own list of clients, your mailing list or whatever, and you could advertise to those. Or you could also look at other pages and say, okay, I want to advertise to followers of these pages. These are my people. I want to advertise to them. And you could build like lookalike audiences. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that you could do with Facebook advertising, and they did that by, it would be a little piece of code that you would put on, like if you wanted to direct people to your website, you'd put a little piece of code they called a pixel on your site, and then it would track the traffic to that. So Meta could track on their platform, but they could also track across the internet, and that's why you would see like ads pop up, different on Facebook for different sites that you'd visited, because they would have that pixel on there, and they could tell, like, oh, this person's interested in my stuff, so we're going to show them this ad. So Facebook used to be a really, really effective and economical way to really target advertising. You didn't have to. My degree is in advertising and marketing, right? And so it used to be that you'd have to look at different mediums, and either different publications or news or radio, or like, how do you get your message to the people who are your customers or who could be your customers, right? And so you had to craft a message to attract those people. Well, with online advertising, it became almost like dummy advertising, because you don't have to be able to attract anything. You can push your stuff on people. And so what happened in 2016, and this may be old hat for some people, and you may already know this, but just this is all related because this had a big impact on online advertising. So back in 2016, Ted Cruz's campaign worked with a company, Cambridge Analytica, and they were harvesting personal data on people and doing really invasive and kind of creepy targeting. And so this is one of the articles. This is on The Guardian. Revealed 50 million Facebook profiles harvested for Cambridge Analytica in major data breach. Excuse me. Whistleblower describes how firm linked to former Trump advisor Steve Bannon compiled user data to target American voters. And so I think when we look at what a big kind of earthquake this was in online advertising, I think we can agree that Americans don't like to be spied and creeped on, right? Would you agree with that? This is a basic, a fundamental right to privacy in our constitutional rights, and whoever wants to make money off of it can't, regardless of what they want, when they creep in on us, that's a violation of our rights, right? Okay, so this is one article. This is another article. This is from the Bipartisan Policy Center. This is just what's showing up at Google now. Like, search results have been like complete, gone in the toilet too. So anyway, but these are just an example. So this is from 2023, History of the Cambridge Analytica Controversy. And so basically it was getting information they really didn't have a right to and targeting them very specifically, right? So this is in 2016. And so after that, there were all these, there was even a congressional inquiry about it, and it was a huge scandal. And so that after all the investigations and the inquiries into it, there was a massive change in privacy laws for Facebook. All of the phones track you, but there was a major change to that after Cambridge Analytica. And so they had to change what information that pixel could collect on you, right? So it wasn't as effective advertising. You couldn't target as specifically as you could before. So why is that? Because we've decided corporately, through our congressional representatives and through just, we've decided, again, we don't like to be creeped on, right? So what was the response to advertisers and the social media companies that rely on these advertisers spending money to pay the bills, right? What was the response? Did the digital marketing companies decide, okay, maybe we need to go a little more old school and learn how to actually craft an effective advertising campaign or an appeal? No. So what they did was, since they couldn't collect the data and, like they would just through that online pixel, these major companies started getting together and they started sharing their customer data. And this is the thing. Have you ever explicitly given information or given consent for a company to share your information with some random partner? I haven't. No, I always put no. A lot of times I don't even want emails from the company themselves. But this is what they've done, and I really have doubts that all the information that has been shared has been actually legal, right? Like I'm sure that there's been information that's been shared illegally beyond data breaches. Like where do you think the information is going? I mean, people are using it in this kind of thing, and to be able to advertise better. So what they've done is these different businesses share their information. This is what they call clean rooms. So this isn't like if you have a small business and you're just like, oh, I just want to advertise, on this, you're not going to be getting that information. These are, there's basically a fundamental inequity. It's not an equal playing field because, they're partnering together and sharing information on their clients and customers. That's what they're doing. And so how does Facebook deliver those ads to potential buyers? So this is what it seems to me. And this has happened before, but specifically since AI has become more accessible, they're creating these sock puppet accounts, and there's I don't know what they consider themselves, marketing, advertising companies or whatever. I don't know what they consider themselves, but they have massive amounts of sock puppet accounts. And the algorithm, what you see, is controlled by engagement, right? Like what you interact with, but also who you're connected with is what they're interacting with. And so what it seems to me is that on these company sites, and especially any social media account or platform where you have to log in to see what should be a public profile, this is what they're doing. They are controlling what you see based on who you are. So if I go to a profile, and I've seen this, I've gone to a person's profile that I'm not friends with, and I was looking at the profile, and then I had a VPN going, and I switched my VPN, and what was showing was something else. So they're basically creating, okay, so it's not reality, right? Because if you're faking information, it's not reality, but it's a controlled perception. They control what you see, right? So they're shaping and manipulating your perception of reality. Basically, you're not seeing the whole picture. You're only seeing what they want you to see. So anyway, what it seems like to me is that rather than having a pixel and being able to deliver those ads based on the pixel, the sock puppets are the pixel now. And the way they do this is by, and I've seen this, they literally replace your friend, your actual connections, right? Your actual friends you're connected to, with accounts that they control so they can deliver ads to you. And I'm sure this is all algorithmic, but what that means is that there is inside access for these agencies that are running these mass amounts of sock puppet accounts. And how do I know this? Because I have evidence of it. So when I did that live stream on August 4th, 2024, I messaged my stalker. In it, I'm just saying this is what happened. What specifically triggered the complete account takeover of my account and sites, I don't know. I mean, it could have just been the people I know that are just vindictive and malicious and think that, they have to take me out because they stole from me. I don't know. It could have been. But some of the things that I covered in that 3-hour live stream were that I had literal video evidence of analytics on YouTube being faked. And I posted about it in Sean Cannell's Facebook group on video ranking. And within 3 hours, my Facebook account was locked for 3 days. The next day, I had reformatted my phone and reinstalled everything because, it's supposed to take care of problems if you're hacked. A corrupted Play Store downloaded, and literally lost every single account I had was hacked. And one of the things that I haven't been able to, this is the thing, like my personal Instagram account, I haven't been able to get access to. My publishing business has like the main business access to my business dashboard. I've tried multiple times to get into it. I have the password and I have the email address, and I can't get it keeps getting denied and blocked or locked. The last time I tried it, I submitted my driver's license, and they said, "Oh, we can verify your information." So I've been locked out on that. But they hacked all my Google accounts, and one of them was one that I had my Bright Sheep Ministries YouTube channel on, which I don't really promote. I basically used it to upload the Bible study videos that are recordings of my Bible studies that I gave at my church. And also, that was public, but also the teachings I did with the Afghans. And those were unlisted. They were unlisted at first. And then it's happened 2 different times. My translator got outed as a Christian. And so I made them private. That was completely stolen, hijacked off that account. Even when I regained access of it, it was gone. I've tried to recover it multiple times, and it's just denied every time. But anyway, that is what, it could have been the friends that just did it. But the fact that I said, that there is fraudulent analytics on YouTube, and my account was hacked through a corrupted Play Store. I don't know. Anyway, but we're talking about Meta today. And when that happened, again, my Facebook account was locked for 3 days. They moved my original account, which I created, I think, in 2008, that was CM Alvarez, was a short name. They moved it. They just moved the data onto an account that had been used as a sock puppet account. The short name was Carla Alvarez. And it turns out, when I looked in the activity of this, that it had been this account had been impersonating me since 2013. So anyway, I was wondering at first, like, how did they do this? How did they just move it over? I was thinking maybe they had like some sort of program or system or something. No, it's a built-in feature. It is a built-in feature of Meta, just to be able to transfer accounts. So here's the thing. When this immunity that Meta can't be held accountable for the actions that take place using their platform. Again, I'm not an attorney, and I don't pretend to be one on Twitter. But to me, logically, just with basic elementary logic, that assumes the fact that you are not part of the crime. And when you create functions and you know that they are, you cannot claim ignorance. You are complicit in that. Meta is complicit in that. Not only that, so anyway, I was talking about advertising, right? So on this account that's been used to impersonate me since 2013, if you go and look on in your settings on Facebook, there is a section on like advertising. I think it's on disclosure. It's on advertising, and it will show you who's advertising to you. It will show you who has you on a list to advertise to, and it will show you who has you on an exclude list. Be shown to people. So why would somebody need to have an exclude list? Well, let's say you're running a new membership campaign. Let's say you have a gym and you're running a new membership campaign. You don't want us to have your ad shown to people who are already members, right? So you can upload your list of members and say, do not show this to these people, and it won't. So that's the purpose of it. So the purpose is, it's like, we know that this person is not going to be a client for what we're doing, right? So if you're running like services for pregnancy, would you run it to men? No, you wouldn't. So anyway, that's the point of targeted advertising. So anyway, I was going through, just looking at all the different things that were, where did this go? Okay, here it is. Looking at all the different things on this account, like the activity log, seeing what this this particular account had been doing, the one that had been impersonating me since 2013, and I came to that section for the advertising. There were a whole bunch of companies that were running campaigns that had this profile on a list. But guess what? It was on an exclude list. So what does that mean? It means, okay, so I'm going to show you this first. So when I had access again to my Facebook account, all I had was I had access to this fake account, and they had recreated profiles for pretty much everybody that I knew was connected to, but they were fake profiles. So I want to show you, they were impersonations, right? This is an impersonation. So I want to show you this. This is, these are screenshots of an account that was impersonating Nancy Robertson. If people watch this that are in the Kingwood-Humboldt area, this is Nancy that was the Kingwood Garden Center. She was married to Bob Robertson, and they had the Kingwood Garden Center for years. A lot of people knew them. So she's, well connected and well known in the community. They created a fake account of her, and they were running ads to these fake fundraisers. So this is an example of somebody stealing the influence and the relationships of somebody who is well known in the community. And this is fraud. It's fraud impersonating her, and it's also fraud posting. They're obviously trying to profit off of impersonating her. Okay, so then I go and I look down a little bit more, and this is one of the businesses that had this account on an exclude list. Oh shoot, sorry. Okay. Not Proton. This, I had started off my last live stream. So anyway, ACLJ, Jay Sekulo's organization, he had this account on the school list. So he was part of, or not him personally, but whoever was running the campaigns for his account was part of this data sharing group, right? And they knew that this fake account was a fake account. ACL, I have a whole PDF of tons of these. So this is just a small selection. Another one. Sorry. Salem Web Network, which they have a lot of different sites and news sites, radio sites. They're a network. They also knew that this account was a fake account and that they weren't going to advertise to it. And then this last one. Do you see this? Oh, shoot. Meta itself knew that this account was a fake account and that any campaigns that they're running, right, that they're not going to be running to this account. So let me just break down what this is showing. Number one, it's showing that Meta isn't trying to get rid of the fake accounts, right? They're not. They are in partnership and networking with these fake accounts. They know which accounts are fake. Okay, so they cannot claim ignorance. They know. This account, the account that I'm on, my whole I had that account since 2008. All the connections of actual people, right, that I knew, stolen. Who knows who, and I know that they've been impersonating me on that account because I'm getting notifications on that account that I created for the business that I can't access. I'm getting notifications of a message on that. So they have been contacting other people by messages, impersonating me. That is a felony. Just in case we're unclear, because there's obviously some people who are. So what this is showing is that Meta knows about this. And what I think that the point is, and I'm positive that they've given some sort of inside access to these, whoever's running all these fake accounts. Because when I had posted on Twitter about the fact that I discovered that this account had been impersonating me since 2013. Just looking through the activity log. Next time I went back and checked it, the activity log had been altered. So that's evidence that they still have access to this. So anyway, how does this tie into bigger issues that Meta is going through? Okay, I just have to stop and say this. This is an article on Time. It has this AI suggestion. Okay, let me just say this to Time Magazine. I have very good reading comprehension skills. If I'm coming to your site to read something, I do not want an AI. I can read for myself, okay? I don't want some AI summary. This is just annoying me that it's in the way and taking up space. I don't need some model telling me what things mean. Anyway, there's a lawsuit going on right now against Meta, which I had shared about this in the last live stream. But basically, there was a whistleblower that said that Meta officially had a 17 strike policy for accounts that had reportedly engaged in the trafficking of humans for sex. So that's not even talking about anything else. But human trafficking, they're giving these accounts 17 chances before they do anything about it. So here's the thing. There is abundant evidence that Meta is just, they literally do not care. They should not get any immunity from these actions at all because they know about them. They know about them and they are allowing them. So anyway, this other thing too is I just wanted to, this part mainly is for businesses. So one of the things that I think is, let me remove this, has been feeding into this is that people, these people from these agencies go to businesses and say, oh, you need us to manage for you. Look at how we can improve your engagement. Oh, we can make things so much better. And how do they monitor engagement or improvement? If it's building a list, if it's, likes, comments, shares on the post itself, and also mentions, right? So even if somebody doesn't link to you there or directly, there are services that scan the internet and record all the mentions of your company, whether it is, whether it's they're directly linking to you or not. So here's the thing, even that is being faked. And the reason I say that is because when I was going through my editing or checking the transcripts of my YouTube videos, because starting in December of 2024, the friends started going through all my transcripts on YouTube, changing my name to break my brand, corrupting the transcripts. And when I say corrupting the transcripts, it's not just, messed up words here and there. I'm going to have to go through every single video and listen to it and watch the transcripts as I'm listening to it, because they have changed the meaning of what I'm saying on the transcript. So there's sometimes they'll change the words so it flips. So I'm saying exactly the opposite. So the transcripts, it looks like I'm saying exactly the opposite of what I'm actually saying. But as I was going through this, and you say, oh, well, that's just how YouTube does it. No, starting in 2020, I edited every single transcript of every video that I published. That was part of my process. So if there are errors in it now, it's because they've gone back and they've corrupted them. And I have pictures of this, of the dates when they were changed. I have so many pictures of this, and obviously this part is a problem for them because that YouTube channel that I have, my main one that I'm streaming to right now, is so jacked. Like, the analytics aren't even real. They're faked. Also, anybody that's ever published a YouTube video knows that there should be an option for subtitles. I don't even have that anymore. They've altered my access so that what I see is languages, and it shows the only options like, oh, is this dubbed? It's not. This is the thing. I think it's a couple of things. So number one, I can't, because I had been taking pictures of the dates when the things were altered. And so I can't tell now when the subtitles were altered. And so if I go and correct it, then I can't see if it's been changed, if there's been any change. It's basically anything to do with captions is functionally unusable for me on this main account that I have. And it's not just this particular channel. I have other channels that are connected to the same Gmail account. It's like that on every single one of them. Even accounts that I'm connected to with access that aren't even mine. Other people's YouTube channels, they've done this too. The other thing, I can't export timestamps. That's just like completely removed. So this is evidence of inside access, right? I've also seen evidence of inside access on Meta. Okay. So anyway, but what I was talking about mentions, going in and altering the transcripts. I've had this, I think it's programmatic. I think it's probably, this is like an AI model that these services have, that basically if somebody says something that's a negative context to, for somebody that's signing up for the service, you just go in and alter the transcripts. And the reason I say that is because in one of my videos, I mentioned Bart Ehrman. And this was, it wasn't like super negative. It's just like, this is the thing. Bart Ehrman writes for people who don't know what his area of expertise is. He never says the things he says to lay people, to academics. He doesn't. Even in his books, he'll qualify his statements, his misleading statements, he qualifies them in the footnotes. So academics can't go and call him on it because I put it in the footnotes. People just didn't read it. So anyway, I had said something like that in one of the videos. Every single instance of when I said Bart Ehrman's name was corrupted to Bartman. So it doesn't show up as a negative mention for him. So that's faked. So you have sock puppets that are faking engagement, and you have some sort of model that's going in and just basically changing these mentions so it doesn't show up as a negative mention. So, if all of this is faked or corrupted, what good are those services that are monitoring it? Absolutely no good at all. They're completely worthless because what they're reporting is all faked. It's all faked. So anyway, let's just talk a little bit about the point of social media for businesses. Okay, so why are you posting? Are you posting so that people can know what you do? Are you posting so that you can interact with your customers? What is the point? Because this is what I've seen, and I'll show you an example of this. There are people who have basically made a living creating a bunch of fake accounts on different platforms, making a spectacle, promoting it and boosting it with a bunch of fake engagement so they can get ad revenue from Twitter, Facebook, whatever. They're not social. Okay, these sock puppet networks are like a black hole that completely destroys and divides any sort of community whatsoever. They're never going to interact with anyone, any account outside of their own circle of fakeness, because that doesn't benefit them. The reason that they are on social media is not to connect, it's not to get information, it's not to, build a community. It's just to get attention, to get the clicks, to get the views, to get the ad revenue. And it's this self-focused, right? Because if they engage with somebody else and somebody else is getting the views, that's money out of their pocket and they can't have that. So it's all about controlling as much of the timeline and the algorithm as they can. And it's just a competition with other fake ass losers that do the same thing. So anyway, that's like, if you're promoting like a meme coin on social media that you just want to pump up and then defraud people and take your money and run, that's one thing. If you're promoting a bunch of crappy who knows what so you can get money for the click-throughs, okay, that's fine. I don't think it's fine. It could, because it harms people who are actually there, who are interested in meetings, connecting with people, like-minded people. You can't even find the people anymore because there's so much fake. So anyway, but when you're talking about businesses, what good does that really do you? Like actual businesses that have services that they actually want to connect to their customers, it doesn't do you any good at all, right? What good does a bunch of fake engagement and links or comments on your stuff do, other than if you're a Kardashian, you want an ego boost, or Ted Cruz and you want to hide how much people dislike you? It doesn't do you any good, right? That's only time that has any use at all. So we're going to look at something that happened a week ago. So this is a reel that was posted on Second Baptist North's Instagram account. And that was the church I was a member of for 16, 17 years, something like that. And I volunteered in this children's ministry for 8 years. Okay, so this is a reel announcing a new family pastor. And his name's Cale. I can't remember his last name. But anyway, Cale used to be who's a pastor over they called basically anybody in leadership a pastor, but he was over the Family Life Center, which is basically, they have a fitness center. And this is just a side note. If you are in the Kingwood area, it would probably be, and you don't have a church, it would be worth going and joining the church just because of the fitness center. Because I don't know what it is now, but it used to be, it was $25 to join. That was it if you were a member. And you could go in and use their equipment, which it's not like huge. They don't have a lot, but they have an indoor walking track, which if you're in Houston, you know that that's a big deal. Anyway, so Cale was over that. And I just have to say this. I think Cale he's a really good communicator. He's very friendly. He's very, he does a good job of building community, but he's also just a really good communicator. And when I saw that he was the children's pastor, I was thinking, so I don't know if he can teach. I don't know if he can, but he would be somebody who would be a good person for Mark Terry, who is the administrative pastor, to maybe mentor like Cale and somebody else. So, eventually Mark's going to retire and you need somebody to step in, and Cale is somebody I could see doing that. Like I said, I don't know if he's a good teacher, because I've never heard him teach. Mark's a good teacher, but anyway, it's just a side note. So they have this video or this reel that posts on Instagram, and then this is about 12 hours. They posted on Saturday, and I saw it on Sunday morning, and I post this comment, and I said Cale is a perfect match for Angel, Angel King is a children's director at Second Baptist and Match Your Energy. Because anybody knows Angel, she's like super high energy. She's over the children's ministry. She's the person that recruited me. She's a person that, I mean, she basically does the work. This is just a Baptist church and they don't give women the title of pastor. But anyway, she's kind of she's the one that basically takes care of, I don't know how that got on there. She's the one that takes care of business in the children's ministry. So anyway, so I posted that comment, which is a supportive comment. There were only like maybe 12 comments on the post when I first saw it. And I could tell they were all sock puppets. And let me just say, I know that whoever's running the social media for Second Now, there have been massive issues since at least summer of 2024. So about the time that Ed Young stepped down, I saw a change, and I wasn't there, but anyway, but I could tell that there were sock puppets on this account. So here's the thing. That church has 12,000 members. That's the last I knew. I mean, it could be more than that now. I don't know. That children's ministry, I mean, they have hundreds of kids that go through that in a year. I mean, hundreds of kids. Are you telling me that you have to rely on sock puppets to get engagement on a post where you have a very active church? Like what? Nobody else has an Instagram account? Because here's the thing. When you have a bunch of sock puppets not commenting, what does that do? What does that do? Basically, it just keeps the post within the circle of sock puppet accounts, right? That's basically what it does. And also, if you have a bunch of people commenting that nobody else knows, what's the likelihood that people who actually attend there are going to be commenting on that post? Are they going to be more likely or less likely to? I say they'd be less likely to. So again, if your point is to just make a spectacle and get attention, okay, that strategy is fine. It does not create community for the church or connect in the people that go there. It doesn't. So anyway, I can't remember. I went back about an hour later and I made a comment, and it was kind of, I don't know. It was factual. It's like, I can't remember exactly what I said because they deleted it. But I said, if you have to rely on fake engagement or fake sock puppet accounts for comments on this, because literally when I first commented, I was the only real account that was commenting on that. I said, that's a fail. So they deleted my account. And then this is just what happened. I had been my own Instagram account. It's another one where I don't know if they moved my Instagram account onto a fake one, but when I got access to it again, there were a bunch of accounts I had never followed before. I could tell which ones were their clients, but anyway, it was just a bunch of garbage. I mean, and so I had to spend so much time, and I've taken screenshots of it. I had to go through and I was deleting all the accounts that I was following. So I wasn't following trash anymore. I literally, at this point, I've deleted every single follower I have because even accounts that I thought were actual people that I had followed, I can tell that it's the same thing, duped. It's like they have, and I know this for a fact, they have an inside access where they can take, so just for example, I had deleted all the accounts, right? And I wasn't following very many. And so I went back because I started that Instagram account back in 2015. I went all the way back to 2015 and like, who was I interacting with at the time? And some of them weren't active anymore. But as I was going through, I found one account that I thought, okay, I think this is an actual person. And so I followed the account and interacted with a couple of their posts. And then when I went back and looked a few days later, that particular account I was not following anymore. But there was an account that had basically it kind of looked sort of similar. It was basically looked like Charlotte Thomason in a wig. And so the original account that I had followed was not there anymore, and this one was in its place. So it looks kind of similar. So like when you're scrolling down, you're like, oh yeah, I follow this person, when actually it's an account designed to poison your reach, right? So that what they like things so that, like, basically what Instagram thought was similar to my content had nothing to do with anything that I post. There were Spanish language posts, there were Italian posts. I mean, it was like, it just, anyway, it's targeted. Not only did they steal my account, but they are determined that anytime my account starts getting any traction, they're going to demolish it. This is what they're doing. So what is that called? Oh yeah, that's called tortious interference, which also is illegal. So anyway, after that happened, all of a sudden, all of my posts on Instagram, anything I posted, it was showing 0 for views. Even if I viewed it, it was showing 0. So the interesting thing is that looking at the cumulative views, it showed views, right? But they had altered the post views. So I was researching a little bit, and I guess that they do mass reports that they can trigger a response from Instagram where they'll basically delete your posts, right? But I would think that would delete the cumulative too. So I think what happened is, after I said that, then another wave of attacks came on my account, right? It was cause and effect. This is what I'm seeing. And what was showing up for me when I went back and I'm looking at, okay, there's nothing related. This account, supposedly of Angel King, was the first account that was showing as suggested for me to follow. That's not actually Angel King's account. I used to be connected to her. I'm not, they took over all my real accounts, so I don't anymore. That's an account impersonating her. And these may have been real photos off her Instagram account. I don't know. But anyway, that's a fake account. So I'm assuming that's probably one of them that they were using to report my posts so that they could tank it. But that's what's considered strategy among social media companies. So there's a few things about that. First of all, those actions are legal, right? And secondly, the fake, I mean, unless if it's just an ego boost, there's no purpose. That fake engagement, no purpose. And this is a reality about those fake accounts. If you fire that agency, those accounts are burned. I mean, they're probably, my guess is, just based on what I've seen on the account that I was moved on to, they probably will move all your real followers off onto one of their accounts that they manage and stick sock puppets on it. So it's completely burned. And I'm sure that they do to former clients the same thing they do to me, and that set up targeted sabotage campaigns to make sure that they don't go anywhere. Basically, is retribution for firing them. So anyway, even apart with that, like, if you don't have those fake accounts, even if they didn't steal your actual followers and, go out to target you, your account's still burned because you've had all that fake engagement on there, and now it's not going to be, it's not going to be there anymore. So you're literally shooting yourself in the foot. You're tying yourself into fakeness and engagement, and pretty much eliminating actual community building on your platform. And again, if your goal is just an ego boost and to look good and look like you have engagement, okay. But I don't think that it's necessary, or it shouldn't be necessary, for a church that's already has, has active people and engaged people. If you're not getting those people engaged on your posts, like their actual accounts, not people impersonating them, again, that to me is a problem. But it's up to people, like what they think is important, what isn't. So anyway, but I want to just talk a little bit about the problem. I mean, just how, they may excuse it as, well, this person is a staff member. We're just running an account for her to engage on this. That may be the excuse. Here's the thing. Like on my account that was stolen, I taught children's ministry for 8 years, and I ran events for kids. I was involved in Girl Scouts. I volunteered at my girls' school. And so they created a profile that is somebody that a lot of children would know, right? And they're basically trading on the, who I am as a person. And so if they contacted a child, or even somebody that isn't a child, but like a teenager that went through my Sunday school class when they were younger, they're not going to know that that's not me, right? Because they're faking it. And so there's this predatory trust that's, these are predators, and they have this built-in trust because it is somebody that they think that they know. And so when you have a fake account of a children's director of a church, of one of the largest churches in the community, what's going to be done with that? I mean, there's so many different levels of wrong in that I cannot even begin to tell you. So thinking that it's okay to create a fake account of somebody just because you're a staff member and you're running social media for the church, no, that is not okay. That is absolutely not okay. So anyway, and it might even be okay. So impersonation, you can hire somebody to run your social media, right? You can do that. But if somebody at the church actually did sign off on that, they're giving you a whole lot more credit than they should be, because tell you what, people like going immediately to retaliation after there's a comment that's just stating facts. You have sock puppet accounts commenting on the posts. That's a fact. So you don't like it, I don't know, learn how to actually market and actually build a community rather than faking it. Anyway. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm going to do a little short update about last week. I did I was talking about C.S. Lewis and about all this, this faking counterfeit books, right? And the counterfeit book covers. So I actually posted this on Reddit because I have I didn't upload it, but I have a video where I'm on the HarperCollins site and I'm looking at their listing for the Four Loves, and the ebook is showing the authentic cover, but the paperback is showing a counterfeit cover. And I said at the time, I don't know if it's that the HarperCollins, so it could be three things, I think. It could be that the HarperCollins site is pulling from the Library of Congress because the Library of Congress data has been corrupted, or it could be that the HarperCollins site itself has been also hacked, or it could be that what I'm seeing, let me go to this, that what I'm seeing is not, it could be like DNS poisoning, because I had shared last week that I had realized that was happening to my site. So I'm not sure which one it is, but I originally found was talking about it on, it was Tuesday and Wednesday of last week, so right before Thanksgiving. And I posted it about it on Twitter, and I was tagging HarperCollins, Publishers Weekly, and Amazon. And they had responded like, "Oh, well, have you reported the counterfeit?" And I had, but it didn't look to me like anything had changed, right? And so anyway, checked it a couple days after that, and it seemed to me like they had started cleaning up the counterfeits off of Amazon, right? And so it looked to me like Amazon was taking action. Looked at it again the day after that, and this is the thing, it's got to be like some AI model, like, like the large language learning models learn based off of information that they take in, right? They're designed to, take information and extend past that, and to learn and have new actions, new generations off the information that it's learned. Well, I think that what is operating in this particular situation is basically a criminal version of that, because the responses, it seems to me like there's counteraction from Amazon to try to clean it up, but then they just change their strategy and get it up a different way. Because when I looked on my Kindle under suggested video or suggested books, there was this really, really hideously ugly cover of, it's basically a counterfeit book by C.S. Lewis. So I think that the strategy just changes a little bit. I think that's what's happening. But then today I went at the Salem Library. I went in and I looked up their catalog because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just going to look to see what comes up. And not all of them, but most of the listings that were audiobooks were the counterfeits. The audiobooks, this is the thing, like some of those audiobooks, I don't know, it would be a lot easier to tell the counterfeits if HarperCollins actually was consistent about book cover quality, honestly. But some of them, I'm not even sure that the audiobooks are authentic. I'm not sure. And I found a couple of them in the catalog. So this is the catalog for basically the whole Willamette region of libraries. But it looked like there were a couple of physical books that were the counterfeits too. So anyway, I asked the staff member if their information was pulling from the Library of Congress, and he wasn't sure. So the explanation could be, it's the thing, I'm really wondering if libraries are getting the revenue from, or if the counterfeiters are getting the library or the revenue from libraries. I don't know if they are or not. I mean, the counterfeit covers are showing literally on all the ebooks, which is just weird because that shouldn't be happening. Anyway, but that's the case. So if it's pulling from the Library of Congress and the Library of Congress database has been hacked, that would explain things, but it doesn't explain the physical books that are showing. I don't know what, but anyway, that was today. So anyway, other news. Like I said, where am I going on this? Okay. Like I said, the friends that I know are, I don't think that they're the only ones, but they are part of a group that is running these SockPuppet accounts. They have had this inside access, some sort of inside access that enabled them to be able to steal my social media accounts, take over my identity, all of that. And like I said, Oregon's pretty weird in that basically every single authority that I've talked to has never acknowledged that. They've either said that that hacking isn't a crime, that social media theft or impersonation on social media theft isn't a crime. So I'm just going to be, this is the actual ORS statute on identity theft. And this is what they're thinking. If somebody is impersonating you and they don't get money, then there's not a crime. That's not what this says. That's not what this says at all. So it says a person commits a crime of identity theft if that person, with the intent to deceive or to defraud, obtain, possess, transfers, creates, utters, or converts to the person's own use the personal identification of another person. Identity theft is a Class C felony. Does it say that somebody has to get money from somebody else? No, it just means if they have impersonated something or even taken personal identification of another person. So that is a theft. You cannot impersonate, make somebody think that you, okay, I'm not saying like you create a fictional person that you don't want to be like your own self online for whatever reason, and you create a fictional persona. That's one thing. That's not identity theft because it's not the identity of an actual person. When you try to make somebody think you are another actual person, that is identity theft. And I haven't seen it in this, but Texas is pretty clear. It's even if somebody's dead, because I've seen dead people that these jackasses are stealing the identity of. So this is aggravated identity theft. A person commits the crime of aggravated identity theft if the person violates ORS 165.800 in 10 or more separate instances within a 180-day period. So that's 6 months. Yes, they have done this to me way more than that. It's ongoing and it's constant. Okay, we're going to go to computer crime because I had Joshua Mitchell of the Woodburn Police tell me that hacking wasn't a crime. So this is what it says. To access means to instruct, communicate with, store data in, retrieve data from, or otherwise make use of any resources of a computer system, or computer network. So anyway, this is also a crime. It's a crime, okay? It's in the organs. I don't know what the hell is going on with the police departments in this state, even the FBI, that they think that hacking and identity theft is not a crime. It's just mind-boggling. And then stalking is also a crime. ORS 163.732. So the officer that I reported all of this to in October, when I reported gave them names and phone numbers and it explained who they were on this family group, he said, well, I don't know if there's any, I'm not sure if there's any crimes that have been committed here. Okay, so I guess I need to like carry around a copy of ORS code with me because, literally it happens all the time and nobody seems to know what a crime is around here. But I want to show you something else. And let's just say this, I reported this particular thing on October 6th of this year. So just about 2 months ago. This is a picture from my Google Drive. So this was accessed on November 7th by Jason Smith, who was one of the people that I reported on October 6th. So let's just do a little time here. So what is November 7th before or after October 6th? It's after, right? I reported him as somebody who had been hacking my laptop, which the officer said he didn't know if it was a crime or not. This happened on November 7th, a month later. So one of the things that they did, was this the right one? I think I uploaded the wrong one, but I looked up his contact. He had the day before, so this was on November 17th, 16th or 17th. So this had happened. He's just I think he just like lives in my laptop or something. I don't know. But he had accessed a whole bunch of Adobe photo files that I had created for an Unexpected Journal. So here's the thing. Unexpected Journal never paid me for creating any of their covers. So I did not do the artwork. Virginia de la Lastra did the artwork. She'd send it to me, and I put it together with, so the picture Virginia did, and I created the covers, put the manuscripts together. They have no right to those files. They have their individual pieces. They want to reproduce it, they can reproduce it. They do not have a right. Number one, they do not have a right to them, period, unless if I chose to give them to them. And they certainly don't have a right to hack it off my laptop. Okay? So that's a crime. But he had uploaded all of those, and then he uploaded not only the file, the cover files for an Unexpected Journal, but he uploaded a folder with information of one of the Afghan families. And then do you see what's happening here? He's sharing, this is what it is. It's the, that PDF that's there is a PDF of all the passports, photos of passports and tazkeras, which is the, basically the Afghan equivalent of a social security number, in one PDF. And he's sharing it with Jim Swayze and Grant Broadhurst. So not only is he stealing files off my computer, but he is sharing information of a family of Afghan Christians headed by a woman, which, if you have any idea, like the hostile environment it is for women in Afghanistan, even if they're not a Christian. I mean, it's gotten so bad. The women aren't supposed to speak to each other. And the last thing I saw was that the women are supposed to only have one eye uncovered because, you know, the Taliban are so ridiculous. They come up with stupider things every single time they turn around. Anyway, but he shared that with those two who are also part of the conspiracy. So when I first saw it, I was thinking, what is the point of this? Was it just so that I would see the activity, and was it supposed to be like get me or something, or upset me that he's saying, oh yeah, I took these files, what are we going to do with it? But you know, I mean, the stuff that they've been involved in is just so over the top, criminal. I don't know. I mean, they could be, this is the other thing. It wasn't just uploading it. Somehow he was able to fake the upload through my Gmail account. So when I looked at the information on the files that had been uploaded, it was showing me as the owner. I never uploaded any of their information to Google Drive, ever. When I first started working on this, I did research on encrypted cloud storage to see what was work. I never uploaded their information to Google. So I don't know if he was uploading it to try to fake something, like I was doing something with the files. I don't know. I don't know if they're creating fake documents and selling them to, I don't know. I have no idea. But this happened on November 7th, and in complete month after I had already reported him to the Salem police that he was hacking me. So the exposure of these Afghans are directly lies at the feet of the Salem Police Department. So anyway, this is the thing. It's still, it never, literally never stops. They keep on. Let me say this again. I have never had any association with any of those people apart from volunteering for an unexpected journal where from 2018 to 2023, Zach Schmal and I did the majority of the work. And after that, Jasmine and Jason, don't even ask me. It was like they took it over to tank it or something. I stepped back. I was just producing it. That was my only association with them. I've never been in business with them. I have literally, I mean, the things that you see on the launch parties, that was mostly the bulk of my engagement with them. Okay. I have no affiliation or association with them whatsoever other than that. The other thing I discovered was, oh yeah, this is just today. I was at Broadway Coffee and somebody was there. I don't know what they were doing. It's like, I don't know how they do it. They must bring a device where they can somehow like hack sessions or something, but it logged me out of my own account and got a Mac logged in on my legacy marketing account. So I had to boot them out just right before this. And what is this one? Oh yeah. So this is, yeah. So that IP address, I was in on Cloudways. They had somehow, again, got into my Cloudways account and whitelisted IP address so that, they could access the files that Cloudways would trust it and not block it down. And looked it up, and I don't care. I mean, this is the thing. These are criminal hackers. And if they're stupid enough to put their own IP address, this is a Comcast IP address, Vancouver, Washington. I mean, I don't know. Is it just that criminals are like smarter than law enforcement around here? Because it shouldn't be too hard to track these losers down. I don't know. Anyway, so that is that's my update today. I went into a little bit more than I was planning on, but here's the thing. If you have one takeaway from anything that I say here, keep in mind that social media is not reality, that the level of corruption just on a platform basis, even if you had connected originally to somebody that was a real person, there's a strong likelihood that that person could be a fake profile and that the real account has been replaced with that and you're not connecting to the real person. So keep that in mind. Just keep in mind, anything that you see on social media, you can't take for gospel. It might be fabricated just to influence your perception or manipulate you. And also, if you have a lawsuit against Meta, then know that they are corporately absolutely complicit. They not only know what's going on and the actors that, the people who are doing this, but they're partnering with them. And they have built-in features that facilitates the fraud. So anyway, that's enough for today. And again, if you want to go over, where's my ticker? If you want to go over all the rest of it and get more details about any particular thing, you can go to raisetowalk.org, hack the saga. And I have a ton up there. So anyway, I will talk to you later and hope you have a great rest of the week.